Good morning!
Jeez, Tim, are you almost ready to upgrade your iPhone 15 Pro? It's not even been a year yet, Tim. Why would I? But the new 16 Pro will be bigger, and bigger is better. I was actually hoping you were gonna bring back the mini iPhones. Oh, well, no. But the new 16 Pro will have AI. Doesn't the 15 Pro get all the Apple Intelligence features? Ah, shoot, I thought you had the 15. But, it will also have a button that's for taking pictures. You mean like the action button? Well, no, it's different though. This one doesn't physically click, so you don't get as much tactical feedback like the butterfly keyboard. I thought we agreed you wouldn't bring that up anymore. I'm sorry, Tim, but 15 Pro's looking pretty good right now. Good morning! So at this point, we're likely less than 1 month away from the unveiling of the iPhone 16 series. Again, most likely going to be on September 10th, unless Apple feels like hosting an event on 9/11. Not likely. I don't think we're there yet as a culture, but I've been rocking the iPhone 15 Pro, which I would normally be holding for you on camera here, except it's become my main work phone in so many different ways. It's not like work phone in the sense that everybody calls me on this phone. It's like more so than any previous generation iPhone, this has become a tool more so than an entertainment device. It's now my camera not just for the Tailosive Tech channel, the EV channel, the Life channel, but also now for my new official job. You know, I got so many negative comments over the years telling me, Drew, you don't know what you're talking about, Drew. You're not a real tech YouTuber. Go get a real job. So I listened, and I did. I'm now running the social media channels for a startup company in the Bay Area that goes by the name of Telo Trucks, and pretty much 100% of the footage we've used over on our TikTok page, our YouTube channel, and all of that has just been shot off my primary iPhone, which is pretty insane. So far, no one from the PR teams or the investors or the CEO even have said like, yeah, the videos are okay, but do you think you could get something a little bit more professional looking? It looks like everything you're just shooting off an iPhone now. No, everybody's just kind of agreed, hey, this kind of works. This just gets the job done, so keep doing what you're doing. So I'm very thankful that, for one, the iPhone has gotten so reliable and the camera quality has gotten so good that at least in more professional use cases, relatively, as in we're now advertising and doing marketing for a product that is outside the realm of just one guy talking in his bedroom about Apple products, and it's still able to pull its weight. It's still able to do pretty good. And of course, the adoption of USB-C has absolutely 100% made it easier to work with more camera accessories like my Zoom microphone. That's one thing that the iPhone is not quite good enough to replace dedicated hardware for, at least for me yet. So I still use my old trusty Zoom H6 microphone for all of the audio in these videos, but I love the way it syncs up so well with the video. And yeah, of course, as a general everyday phone, I love the battery life, I love the display, it gets plenty bright, all of those iOS animations are so smooth and silky, ProMotion is fantastic. But if I had to complain about anything in particular, I guess it would have to be heat. Maybe this is partly my fault because, yes, I wirelessly charge my phone all the time, both in the car and at my desk, and now that I'm using my phone more and more as a camera than ever before, yeah, there's a lot of times where the phone gets pretty hot, although I'm grateful to say there haven't been a ton of situations in which I've like lost footage or I've like not been able to record a video because the phone has gotten too hot. Pretty much whatever happens if I'm recording a long video out in the car or in the wild somewhere and it's not in like a cool air-conditioned environment. Who am I kidding? This office isn't a very air-conditioned environment anyway. You've seen the sweats. But typically the display just gets dim. Like so far, it's never reached a point where like I'm talking to the camera and I think I'm recording and then I pull the phone out and go, oh crap, it overheated so it stopped recording. Like so far the display will just get really, really dim, and yes, the phone will be like scorching hot to the touch, but so far it hasn't cost me a video quite yet, which is refreshing. I suppose if there was something Apple was looking for to try to win me over into upgrading to the 16 Pro, it would definitely be probably something like a vapor chamber, or at least, I don't know, some kind of Apple techno jargon that results in the phone not overheating or getting quite as hot. I also use it as a personal hotspot a lot of the time if I'm out and about, either for my car or for my laptop or my wife's phone, because she's still rocking the iPhone 10 and sometimes the 4G speeds just aren't what they used to be. Social hotspot off my phone to get some of that 5G goodness. But I'm thankful for the overall size. It's definitely not as small as the mini iPhones I used to have and I still wish we had, but I have a feeling that with all of the camera requirements Apple is pushing on the engineering team each year, we're probably not getting the camera bump any smaller, and I'm sorry, the 15 Pro camera bump is just probably much too big for a mini iPhone. So the minis aren't coming back, but it sounds like this year the Pro iPhones are just getting bigger and bigger, which I'm not a fan of, which is again another reason why I'm probably going to be sticking with my 15 Pro, just because I like the size, I like the camera quality, and I need USB-C. And while I was super grateful that Apple listened to me and actually put a charge limiter on the iPhone 15 series, I'm happy to report I've basically had that turned on since November. It's been a 80% charge cap. There's occasionally days where I knew I was going to be recording or filming a lot, like an interview with a CEO or another startup company, that kind of thing. I would charge it to full for those days, but for the most part, it's always charged to 80%, and I wish I could say that that resulted in a huge boost in the performance of the battery health, but yeah, here we are all these months later, and after just a couple hundred cycles, the battery health is already down to around 96%. Still not out of the ordinary. It's not bad by any means. However, all of the battery health preserving I've been doing by not charging it to full has probably been eat up by the fact that I use my phone for recording videos and my personal hotspot all the time, and that just heats it up a ton on the internal sense. So wireless charging tends to create a lot of heat on the outside of the phone, but when your chip is running at full speed all of the time, or the 5G modems on the inside are roaring because of your data consumption or your personal hotspot usage, that's also not great for the battery life. And there's also a lot of times where I'll use my phone a ton in a single day, so I will fast charge it either in my car or at my desk, you know, at the full like 25 watts that the USB-C can handle. So there's definitely been a lot of fast charging in the last 9 months, and again, a lot of using the phone for work, so it gets very, very hot. I wouldn't be surprised if that resulted in the battery health dropping more than it would have if I was just using it as a normal everyday phone. But I am still very grateful for the action button. That ended up being more useful than I realized, especially when you're on a trip taking more pictures than usual. You just hold it down and it launches way, way faster than I could ever get it to launch from the lock screen. While I'm not really pumped by any of the Apple Intelligence features, I was considering, like late last year, should I go with a regular 15, which I really loved and thought was a great phone, or should I go with the 15 Pro? And I thought, well, you know, slightly newer chip, that might net me some more features in the long run. I just didn't think it was going to be this soon. I'm surprised that all of those Apple Intelligence features were literally only available on the 15 Pro, and they couldn't even add it to like the 15 Plus, which is barely even cheaper than this phone. But still, it was a factor nonetheless. I just didn't expect it to pay off this quickly. One feature, though, that I definitely thought was going to be more useful than it ended up being was the higher speed capabilities of the USB-C port. And that's mostly been probably the biggest disappointment with the 15 Pro, is just that Apple has still, to this day, not really figured out a great way for me to get lots of footage off of my iPhone to my Mac quickly. I've tried image capture, I've tried Final Cut importing, I've tried the Photos app, and nothing I've tried honestly works as well as the Pixel using the Android file transfer app on Mac, because with the Android file transfer app, I could literally plug in any Android phone and it treats it like it's a SD card or an external SSD. It's very simple. It just gives me the files and I drag them into a folder as needed. But in Final Cut, I have to scroll down to some big import window. It has to literally load a preview of every single photo and video on the phone, which takes way too long. And even when it's importing to Final Cut, it doesn't feel as snappy or like it's taking full advantage of the USB-C port on the 15 Pro. Image capture is similar. It's buggy and the progress bar is dated, and it still doesn't feel that fast compared to what I know this USB-C port is capable of doing. So while I did pay a premium for the Pro, honestly, I don't think that the USB-C port was worth upgrading to until there's a software feature or improvement within macOS or iOS that allows me to just plug in the iPhone and drag the files over and have them transfer quickly. So far, I'm pretty much just airdropping everything. That appears to be, ironically, the fastest way, at least with this current software stack, to get footage off of my phone and onto my Mac. As long as I turn off the Wi-Fi, bizarrely, it seems to be pretty consistent. AirDrop can be unreliable, especially with larger file sizes, but I've just discovered that if I disconnect from the Wi-Fi on my phone, the AirDrop tends to work even for fairly large file sizes. Don't ask me why. It doesn't really make any sense, but this is just the world we're living in now. I couldn't care less about the fact that it's titanium. I wonder, honestly, if the thermal performance of my phone would be better if it was aluminum, because aluminum's like a better conductor, I guess, than titanium. But I'm also not the biggest fan of the camera bump design. It's just always been this way since the 11 series, and I never really liked the stovetop design. It still wobbles a lot when I use my phone at a table or a desk, which comes up a lot, but I am thankful for how snappy everything feels. now that I'm running another company's social media, I'm having to use it a lot more than before. So kind of goodbye to all of those trying to use my phone less goals from years prior, because just with this new job, it's kind of required for me to analyze what commenters are saying, answer as many questions that company gets from the community as much as possible. It's also how I correspond with them because I'm working remotely most of the time. So now I'm using Slack way more than before to keep in touch with everybody at that company, and don't have really any complaints about the multitasking performance. I switch between social media apps and camera apps constantly, and it's been great at doing that. No signs of sluggishness or slowing down. So after walking back on my word in the past, I'm definitely not committing anymore to like, I will certainly use this phone for another 4 to 5 years. I'm just gonna keep using it for now because it seems to be getting the job done, and I like the camera quality, the display's great, everything's working thus far, but I'm not against in the future upgrading if Apple comes out with something that I genuinely think is useful and would benefit me or my job in some substantial way, or if we get to the point where my 15 Pro becomes harder to use or it starts having more bugs or issues that I feel like a newer phone would actually fix in some way. I'm open-minded, so I've had Apple surprise me in the past. Maybe they've got some features lined up on the iPhone 16 series that could surprise me and make me go, oh, you know what? Maybe I do need a new iPhone. But after reading everything that's been rumored and looking at the state of my 15 Pro today, I'm pretty happy with it. I don't really see a need to upgrade. Really, the only mistake or regret I have with getting this particular 15 Pro is not the size, not the battery life, all that stuff is fine, but I did go kind of cheap on it. I did get the 128 gig option because I thought, you know, I'm just recording a couple of videos a day and I just film them, edit them, and then delete the footage off the phone. But now that I got this new job, I'm filming a lot of other stuff that I wasn't anticipating, so I'm kind of coming close to filling up the storage on it a bit more regularly. So if I could do the whole thing over again, I probably would have spec'd up to at least the 256 gig option. Who knows, maybe if I can convince my wife, like, hey, why don't you let me review the 16 Pro and then you have the 15 Pro for the time being. Maybe she falls in love with the 15 Pro and then I'm stuck with either the 16 Pro, or maybe I would try out the regular 16. Honestly, it sounds kind of nice to have the action button still on the aluminum chassis, and that camera bump just looks a lot cleaner to me on the back. The blue color is actually not bad. Would probably go well with the theme of the channel, right? That's all that matters. Matching the tech with the brand. Either way, what do you guys think I should do? What do you think of the iPhone 16s coming out next month? How is your current generation iPhone holding up? Are you thinking of upgrading? All those thoughts, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. And thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. This is your Apple Shapiro, and I will see you all in the next one.